if you've seen any of these movies, would you chip in?
Yes,
Sure.
absolutely.
In an entertaining kind of way. And if you haven't seen it, just make it up.
And can I just advise against the procedure which is now often adopted by people actually in the film industry, which is why I couldn't possibly comment. Yes, you can. Of course you can. That's the job.
Don't sit on the fence.
Exactly. So at number 10, we have The Pursuit of Happiness with a Y.
I don't understand why there's a nomination for that film at the Oscars. I mean, it's suffer, end. Oh, no, sorry, Millionaire. But very, very briefly. It is waffle.
I haven't seen it, but what is the explanation for the misspelling?
Because on the nursery that he takes his kid to, the word happiness is misspelt. And at the beginning of the movie, he says, why can't you spell it right? And the whole of the rest of the movie is about the fact that people can't be bothered to spell the word happiness right. I mean, actually, it's probably about a lot of other things as well, but that's the thing that bothers him the most.
Number 9, Goal 2, Living the Dream.
And we are looking forward to Goal 3, sleeping through second half. I mean, it's one of those...
I think that they condensed 2 and 3 into 2.
No, it says at the end to be continued.
I think
It's a part of a trilogy.
It is, yeah, but a quadrilogy that's now come down to a trilogy, and a oneology was frankly too much. It's, you know, I mean, it's a football movie, and a football movie is a very difficult genre to get right. I mean, everyone always quotes Escape to Victory, but the fact of the matter is that he goes off to play for Real Madrid. David Beckham walks through being David Beckham. That guy, Zinedine Zidane, is in the second film of his that I have disliked this year. and what's her name? Anna Friel spends the whole film going, oh no, exactly the way that she did in Rogue Trader, when she went, oh, Nick, that's Nick.
Dreamgirls at 8.
I like it. I mean, I think people have been, you know, I think critics have been overly sniffy about it. I think it's a smarter film than people have perhaps thought. I think that Jennifer Hudson is great. Nice to see Eddie Murphy doing something back and forth, although I hear that he's torched his career again with the new movie that he's made, the posters for which are up already, which consists of him dressed as a fat woman, sitting on himself dressed as a thin bloke with an afro. So it's back to form.
With the unfortunate tagline, have you ever made a huge mistake? That's the tagline on the normal. I saw Dreamgirls and I enjoyed it.
Good.
But weirdly, all the things I liked about it, my girlfriend hated.
Oh, what?
People breaking into song.
Oh, no, we see...
That's what I liked about
hang on, there's a very interesting discussion to be had about this, because the question of whether or not you think that all the songs should happen on stage, or whether it's okay for people in the middle of a sentence to do that, is really down to whether or not you are with musicals. Now, I love musicals, love Singing in the Rain, you know, love Mary Poppins, others had no problem with it at all, and people who have a problem with it, I mean, it's interesting. If you showed it to a Bollywood audience, they wouldn't have a problem with it. It's just, it's a very particular thing that we have. Oh, don't like people suddenly bursting into song. It's lovely. Everyone says, I love you, the Woody Allen song when he does. Woody Allen movie, I think, was one of his better films.
I thought you said there was an interesting conversation to be had about that.
Okay, sorry.
I didn't know Dreamgirls was like a musical in that sense, though.
It is, yeah.
It is.
But that's exactly it. People think it's just the songs on stage.
Right. Would you prefer it if it's like Evita, where like everything is sung, as in an opera, or...
There's a lot of
there's twiddly bits in that, but would you prefer it all sung?
Well, I have to say that in the case of Madonna, when singing, great. When talking, absolutely rubbish.
Keep her singing.
Yeah, except, of course, in that Abel Ferrara film in which she plays a really bad actress, which she does quite well.
Maybe Swept Away would have been better if she'd sung the whole thing.
No, it would Swept Away would have been better if it hadn't happened.
Arthur and the Invisibles at 7.
Or Arthur et les Minimoys. Apparently this is another trilogy on its way. Madonna, sadly talking, which is crucially wrong. My kids quite enjoyed it. I thought it was rubbish.
I haven't seen it, but I'm looking forward to Arthur and the Invisibles 2, Living the Dream.
With Anna Friel going, oh no! But in a Newcastle accent.
Simon, does Edgar always monopolise conversation?
No, I've been very remiss recently.
I've seen more films than he has in the
I
last
haven't been to the cinema recently. I've been...
Blood Diamonds at 6.
I like it. I mean, as you know, Leonardo and I are apparently not on speaking terms, but I thought he did fine with the
because you insult his movies.
I didn't insult his movies. I said I forgave him for Titanic. That's a different thing. That is a perfectly acceptable thing to say.
Truth hurts.
Was that real? When I saw that on the Culture Show, was that real, the response to your Titanic thing?
Yeah, I mean, he was, you know...
The point is, you'd said it to him before. The last time you'd forgiven him, he was on this programme and he's talking about some movie that he's in, and you say, "I forgive you for Titanic," as though you're the Lord Almighty.
And your problem with that is what exactly?
Notes on a Scandal at 5.
Yeah, you know, Dame Judi Dench is good in the sort of nasty, slightly bunny boilery way. I don't think it's a great adaptation. I think it is probably an unfilmable book, and I think the film itself has flaws, but I do think her performance is very strong.
Haven't seen it.
I just feel like I've not done my homework.
You've seen nothing.
Have you got a note?
We've been busy.
Did the dog eat it?
Notes on a Scandal does feature 2 Hot Fuzz cast members, though. Well...
Nicely worked in. Hannibal Rising at 4.
Rubbish, 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 and more rubbish.
I must say, it does seem kind of silly to try and excuse... the film since Silence of the Lambs has somehow tried to convince us that it's okay to like him, when that sort of... The dichotomy between him being attractive and abhorrent in the first one was great, but ever since then it's like, well, it's rude people he kills, so it's all right.
Exactly, but crucial question... What's the best Hannibal Lecter film?
Manhunter.
Yes, there we go. Correct answer.
So if you got that wrong, that would have been it.
It's out. Well, because Brian Cox, very good. Sir Anthony Hopkins, pantomime dame.
He's very good as well.
Well, he's not really. He's not. He's
No,
good.
he is.
He's good at doing Widow Twanky.
You're wrong.
Chianti,
He's good in Silence of the Lambs, but
He is good
in
in
Hannibal and Red Dragon, particularly Red Dragon,
He
when
camps
he's got
it up.
too much blusher on.
Yeah. But in
Weird.
Silence of the Lambs, a fantastic
He's all
performance.
right. He's not great. The reason that performance works is because Jodie Foster looks like it's scary. If you took Jodie Foster away and put Dawn French in there, you realise that he is
Well,
just
yes, I
being funny.
suppose. And if you'd said it, The Vicar of Dibley.
That stuff is nonsense.
Epic movie at 3.
They didn't
Oh
screen it to
dear.
us.
They wouldn't.
No.
I'm
Wasn't
just saying,
screened.
oh dear, based on the trailer.
I think
I
your
just-
analogy about Bowie Davra is interesting.
Oh yeah, those things like date movie and epic movie. It reminds me when you see the trailers and you see bits of people doing Napoleon Dynamite,
Which is a comedy in the first place.
Exactly.
Why are you spoofing it?
But it reminds me of like when in the 80s you used to see a comedian like Bobby Davro doing an impression of Dame Edna Everage and then just doing all of his material. And it was like, oh, well, that's okay. So you do an impression of a funny person and you nick all their jokes.
Charlotte's Web at 2.
I mean, it's not Babe. It does have
No, it's Charlotte's Web.
No, thank you. Although it does have a talking animated pig in it, and therefore the Babe reference wasn't completely left of field. It does have at least the issue of dealing with death, although I think some sensitive children may find that heartbreaking. It's not great. I mean, Dakota Fanning's an interesting case because she is clearly very good at being Dakota Fanning. But it's
That's not a great compliment, is it?
No, but she is Dakota Fanning very, very well. You know, she does. There's something, something steely about. I mean, she will be successful in future life, but it's not a great movie. It is not a great movie, but which is a shame because it's a very, very fine novel, obviously.
And the UK's number one movie is Music and Lyrics, which I have to tell you, my 13-year-old daughter has decided is one of the best movies ever made.
Yeah, I mean, look, Hugh Grant is Hugh Grant in it.
Not as good as Notting Hill was the official verdict,
No.
but better than Along Came Polly. That's
Wow.
the scale of the achievement.
I think that really is the goalpost for which we're all aiming, and
That's
I think
the
on that
criteria.
scale that's perfectly fine. I mean, the thing is, it is a bit rubbish, but I do find Hugh Grant funny, particularly when he's being slightly slimy. I mean, Drew Barrymore doesn't get very much to do other than be a bit ditzy and walk in and out of doors. But Hugh Grant just and then he does the 80s pop star bit, which is quite good, and then it ends.
He'd have been good in Hot Fuzz, wouldn't he?
Grant.
Yeah,
I
you
think
know.
he's very watchable, Hugh Grant. He always charms the socks off me.
Exactly,
He
he
seems
is. He's a
somebody
very
who's not-
watchable screen presence.
I've always thought he's good, but he kind of seems like somebody who's not really at peace with being a film star anymore. He seems to be the person who, during the whole of the press tour for Music and Lyrics, he seemed to be its fiercest critic.
Well, good for him.